Welcome to a magical world where fairy tales come alive. Today, we dive into the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This tale, filled with intrigue, magic, and royal characters, is a timeless classic that has been enchanting audiences for generations. In a far-off kingdom, a wicked queen ruled with vanity and cruelty. She possessed a magic mirror, her most treasured possession. Now say the word queen. Can you hear the E sound? It's a long vowel sound, pronounced like the letter E. The word mirror is another interesting one. The RR makes a rhotic sound, typical in English. The queen would often gaze into her mirror, asking, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror, bound by magic to only speak the truth, would always reply, "You are my queen." Our story takes a twist with the birth of a beautiful princess named Snow White. The word princess has a short I sound and ends with a SS sound. It's pronounced princess. The name Snow White is quite literal, representing her skin as white as snow. The term magic is central to our story. It has a short A sound and ends with a C that sounds like K. It's pronounced magic. Magic is a mysterious and powerful force that can make impossible things happen. So we have met a queen, seen a mirror, witnessed magic, and welcomed a princess. Each of these words is related to royalty, and they are important characters and elements in our tale. As the story unfolds, Snow White grows into a beautiful princess with skin as white as snow. Stay with us as we delve deeper into this enchanting tale filled with love, peril, and the enduring power of truth. Our tale takes a twist when Snow White finds a small house in the woods, home to the seven dwarfs. As she steps inside, she's met with 7 pairs of curious eyes. Now imagine you're meeting someone for the first time. What would you say? Maybe a friendly hello or a cordial nice to meet you? That's exactly what Snow White does. She greets each dwarf with a warm hello, showcasing her polite and friendly nature. But these aren't just any dwarfs. Each one has a unique name that describes their personality. Let's meet them, shall we? First up, we have Doc. Doc is a term often used for doctors, suggesting he's the wise and knowledgeable one of the group. Then there's Grumpy, whose name speaks for itself. While he may be a bit sour, he has a heart of gold. Next we meet Happy. Just like his name suggests, he's always cheerful and full of joy. Following Happy, we have Sleepy. Now don't be fooled by his constant yawning and droopy eyes. Sleepy is as alert as they come. Then there's Bashful, who's a little shy, often blushing and stammering when he speaks. Sneezy, as you may have guessed, is prone to frequent sneezing. It's not a cold, it's just how he is. And last but not least, we have Dopey. He doesn't speak, but his actions and expressions say more than words ever could. As Snow White introduces herself to each dwarf, she warmly says, "Welcome," inviting them into their own home. It's an ironic twist, but it shows her kind-heartedness and acceptance of her new companions. These introductions and greetings aren't just pleasantries, they're a way of connecting, of saying, "I acknowledge you and I appreciate your presence." So, the next time you meet someone new, remember Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. With the dwarfs, Snow White finds a new family and a safe haven from the wicked queen. But the wicked queen discovers Snow White is alive and decides to take matters into her own hands. Enraged by the fact that Snow White still lives, the queen hatches a cunning plan. She decides to disguise herself as a harmless old peddler woman. Disguise, an interesting word, isn't it? It means to alter one's appearance or behavior in order to hide one's true identity. Just like our queen here, donning a shawl and a humpback, masking her usual regal attire and beauty. The queen, now in her deceptive disguise, plots to deceive Snow White. Deceive is a verb that means to cause someone to believe something that is not true, typically in order to gain some personal advantage. In this case, the queen plans to trick Snow White into believing she is a kind old woman. Trick, another word for deceive, implies a crafty or cunning move designed to impose on someone. And what is the queen's trick, you ask? It's a poisoned apple. A fruit so beautifully deceptive that one would never suspect the danger that lurks beneath its shiny red surface. Poison is a substance that can cause harm or death when introduced into a person's body, and in our tale, the queen uses it as her weapon of choice. Now let's take a moment to practice the pronunciation of these words. Disguise, pronounced as disguise. Deceive, pronounced as deceive. Trick, pronounced as trick, and finally poison, pronounced as poison. As we delve deeper into the story, the queen, with her deceptive disguise and poisoned apple, sets off to trick Snow White. Her wicked smile hidden beneath the guise of a kind old woman, she approaches the unsuspecting princess. Will the queen's wicked plan succeed? Let's find out. The story reaches its climax as the queen tricks Snow White into eating a poisoned apple. Now, let's dive into the heart of the drama and suspense. Our first word for today is afraid. Afraid is a feeling of fear or apprehension about something that might happen. It's an emotion Snow White surely feels when the queen, disguised as an old woman, presents her with a shiny red apple. The queen's cunning trickery instills fear into our fair maiden's heart. But alas, she's too innocent to see through the deception. Next we have cry. To cry is to shed tears, especially as an expression of distress or pain. When Snow White bites into the apple, she doesn't know it's poisoned, but as soon as she does, she feels a sudden pain, and tears start to well up in her eyes. She cries out, not knowing what is happening to her. Our third word is fall. Here it's not about physically tripping or losing balance. In this context, fall refers to a sudden and uncontrollable movement. It's what happens when Snow White, after eating the poisoned apple, suddenly slumps to the ground. She falls, her body no longer able to stand. Lastly, we delve into sleep. Sleep is a condition of body and mind where consciousness is practically suspended and relaxation is achieved. However, in Snow White's case, this sleep isn't restful. It's a deep, enchanted slumber caused by the poisoned apple. It's a sleep so deep that she seems almost lifeless. So, we've learned 4 new words today: afraid, cry, fall, and sleep. These words help us express emotions and actions, especially during times of fear, distress, or relaxation. Remember, language is a powerful tool that helps us communicate our feelings and experiences. As Snow White falls into a deep sleep, her world turns dark. This marks the chilling climax of our story. But remember, every dark night has a brighter dawn waiting, so stay tuned to discover what happens next in Snow White's tale. In every fairy tale, there's a twist of fate that brings a happy ending. So here we are at the heartwarming conclusion of our story. The prince, with love in his heart and hope in his eyes, approaches the seemingly slumbering Snow White. In stories like these, love conquers all, and this story is no exception. With a gentle kiss, the prince revives our heroine, breaking the wicked spell and filling the forest with pure, unadulterated joy. Now let's delve into the language of happiness and celebration that is woven into this part of the story. The word happy is one of the simplest yet most powerful words in the English language. It signifies a state of well-being and contentment. In our story, the prince and Snow White were happy to be reunited. Next, we have the word celebrate. To celebrate is to acknowledge a significant or happy day, event, or occasion with a social gathering or enjoyable activity. The dwarfs, along with the woodland creatures, celebrate the revival of Snow White with a grand feast. Then we have dance. To dance is to move rhythmically to music, typically following a set sequence of steps. In our tale, the dwarfs and Snow White dance around in a circle, their hearts filled with relief and happiness. Lastly, we explore the word joy. Joy is a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. It's the emotion that fills your heart when something wonderful happens, much like when our prince revives Snow White, filling everyone's hearts with joy. Just like our story, language can be a magical journey. Every word you learn opens up new possibilities, painting a vivid picture in your mind and creating a world of imagination. And so, Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after. This concludes our magical journey and our language lesson for today. Remember, every word is a new door to a world of imagination.